So another thing that we're seeing, you see people that are starting their careers in coaching by coaching competitive lifters or bodybuilding clients. Uh, People that just started, their online training, the other week, and now they have people competing in powerlifting and doing bodybuilding shows or Olympic weightlifting, or whatever, athletic performance, things like that, when they need to be working with the general population and learn from the general population first before you start working with people, one, that are trying to compete in something, two, that are a little bit more advanced generally, um, and are doing more advanced techniques. I mean, once you get to a certain point, yeah, sometimes general population, they are going to have elements of powerlifting in there. I think everyone should be squatting and deadlifting or picking things up off the ground at least, whether it's a trap bar or deadlift, something like that. But you shouldn't be starting your coaching career trying to coach someone, your buddy who's competing in the 220 class. Um, your career shouldn't be starting that way. You should be working with just general population people, and then start diversifying into I wouldn't say elderly people, but people of certain ages and certain backgrounds. Maybe it is that, you know, 45-year-old woman who's postmenopausal or 50-year-old woman who's postmenopausal. Start getting to those like special populations. Work with, and I've done it before where it's a 60, 70-year-old client and their main goal is to, at that point, keep their balance intact, move around better, just daily life, bettering daily life, trying to get in and out of their car, trying to do daily tasks, get up the steps, things like that. That's, start to work with those people and figure those things out, work with those populations before you go diving into young um, athletes who still need to be learning properly and also are putting themselves more at risk under your hands who you've been coaching for 2 months and these people are trying to do technical things. Um, one of the things here is that I have a coach or coaches that are somewhat niche. So everyone has their role to play. We have our recovery, we have our strength, um, we have powerlifting, we have our Olympic weightlifting, and we have coaches for all those different things. We have, the functional fitness side we just added in, where we have specific coaches for that. I would expect in some of those areas that most of my coaches can go coach those areas if need be. Um, some of the upper levels or like Olympic weightlifting, we're not all going to jump in and start coaching that. Recovery, we're not going to jump in and start, um, really helping people with massage or Graston or showing them techniques to better their mobility, um, or repair an injury. But you see coaches online that are trying to do all of that, um, and coach, again, general population or bodybuilding. But then you're trying to do all these niche areas too. What makes you think that you're qualified enough at, again, some of these people are into coaching 1, 2, 3 years. So how are you qualified enough to do that? There are some people who have been shown to be able to handle that. There are plenty of good coaches I know that have been able to do, bodybuilding and let's say powerlifting or just general strength. But then they can turn around and train someone in the general population or elderly just fine. Or I have known people that know about strength that do know a lot about recovery, mobility, things like that. But generally, they're going to have some sort of educational background there. Not I say, especially with the recovery, the mobility side. A lot of these people are, you know, taking okay, let's take this and dig it into this body part, not knowing why, but I saw it online, and they're doing it, at the wrong time or in the wrong area, or, how much damage are you doing to yourself and you don't even know it, or are you setting yourself up to get injured rather than be recovered? Um, and again, you know, someone that might be more of a boot camp, type instructor, or maybe they know a little bit about strength. Why are you coaching Olympic weightlifting? So that's another thing that we're seeing kind of a great deal of.
So in that regard, what do you look for when you're hiring? What's the
So
process of coming on as a coach for Unrivaled Strength?
so generally, the inquiries that we get, I usually screen for them. I usually ask, the initial thing is send a resume in. The initial look at the resume, I'm looking for things that everyone else would be looking for: experience, education. The finer points of have they competed before? Have they went to this cert, that cert, this clinic? Uh, if they do send in a bio about themselves, what's your history? What's your background? Um, and from there, generally, we're going to have them intern for whatever the set amount of time may be. It might be something where they're coming in, they have some background in coaching. They're pretty much going to get jumped in there right away, but they're going to semi intern for a month or two to start to learn just how we operate, things like that. Um, get used to the systems and the protocols we have, but they never stop learning and we never stop learning from them. We're all learning from each other. It doesn't matter if you're Dan, who's been doing this for 17, 18 years or whatever it is, or you're a brand new coach who doesn't have a lot of time under your belt. But all of our coaches that do come in, they have some sort of experience before coaching here. If we were to bring someone in, let's say fresh out of college, or that hasn't really had too much coaching experience, we would ask that they have an extended intern time under us, and then from there we would have to make that decision whether we're going to hire them, or the worst case scenario is like you're gonna need to work somewhere else, but we will write up a good letter of recommendation, or we will, if we know places are hiring, things like that, we'll kind of push you in that direction. And sometimes it is just a matter of being a good fit for the business too. So have the right personality, having a team mindset, be willing to learn, be willing to further your education, or learn from the coaches, or everything really in that aspect. I always tell the story of like how Austin got hired a lot, and Austin had been in the industry before, coaching and as a fitness director, things like that, from a pretty young age. But he had mentioned, before, about possibly getting into coaching with us, things like that, kind of asked the process. I remember one day he shows up to the gym, and it's snowing out. I mean, a terrible snowstorm. It's probably 10 degrees out, and I noticed that there's no vehicle outside. He looks like hell, and it's like I didn't think much of it. I was like, all right, whatever. And we were lifting, and he had mentioned that I think his truck broke down or something like that, or his truck wouldn't start or whatever. So the guy walked 35 minutes in the snow, 10-degree, it's a snowstorm, 10-degree weather, to come train at the gym. And I knew right there, if that guy's willing to do that just to get his training in, how far is he going to push it to be a coach in this gym? Or to, how far is he going to push it for his clients? And he's a go-getter, and that was an instant hire right there. And now, he's been with us for a few years, and we've been able to, keep learning from him learn from us, and it's worked out well. So, a lot of people in the young generation, they overlook things like that. So it's not always about what your paper says. You can have the best resume. We've had people with their bachelor's in exercise science try to get hired here, to their master's try to get hired here, and I'd even call them in to talk to them. So sometimes it is about team mindset, what you're willing to do. And like most companies out there, looking for a go-getter rather than someone that has that degree that's just looking to better themselves rather than better the team.